Good day everyone, my name is Gepez and now I perform the activity number 7 entitled Titration. So my objectives is to define what is titration and the purpose of it, to know the types of titration, to know what are the procedure for titration, to know what is Carl Fisher principle and reaction. What is titration? A titration is a technique where a solution of known concentration is used to determine the concentration of an unknown solution. Typically, the titrant is added from burette to a known quantity of the analyte until the reaction is complete. What is the purpose of titration? So, titrating a simple solution with a volume of a regular acid solution needed to neutralize it may be used to determine its concentration. The aim of the titration is to find the equivalence point, which is the point where chemically equivalent quantities of the reactants are combined. There are four types of titration, which are acid-base titration, redox titration, precipitation titration, and complexometric titration. Acid-base titration are usually used to find the amount of known acidic or basic substance through acid-base reactions. The analyte is the solution with an unknown molarity. The reagent is the solution with a known molarity that will react with the analyte. A redox titration is a titration in which the analyte and tetrate react through an oxidation-reduction reaction. In this type of titration, the chemical reaction takes place with the transfer of electrons in the reacting ions of aqueous solution. Precipitation titration is a type of titration which involves the formation of precipitate during the titration technique. In precipitation titration, the titrant react with analyte and form an insoluble substance called precipitate. It continues till the last amount of the analyte is consumed. A complexometric titration is where an undissociated complex is formed at an equivalence point. It is greater than the precipitation titration and there will be no error due to co-precipitations. So now, I will show you the procedure for successful titration. Step 1. If the sample is a solid, it is weighed and dissolved and to make up the known volume of a solution in a volumetric flask. Step 2. A pipette is used to measure accurately a volume of the solution. For example, 10.00 milliliters. This is emptied into a conical flask. Step 3. A few drops of an indicator may be added to the conical flask. This will show a change of color when we have reached the endpoint or in the titration is complete. The following indicators will be used in your practicals. Step 4. A second solution is placed in the burette. This is a titrant. This solution contains a chemical that will react with the analyte's chemical sample in the clinical flask. Step 5. The solution from the burette is run into the clinical flask. The solution is added one drop at a time and swirled to mix the solutions as the endpoint is approached. Eventually, a color change shows the correct amount that has been added to react completely with the analyte's chemical in the sample. Step 6. The volume of solution added from the burette is noted. The titration result can then be used to calculate concentration. Carl Fisher titration. What is Carl Fisher titration? So, Carl Fisher titration is a titration method that uses volumetric or colorimetric titration to determine the quality of water present in a given analyte. This method for quantitative chemical analysis was developed by the German chemist Carl Fischer in 1935. Today, specialized titration, known as Carl Fischer titration, are available to carry out such titrations. The principle of Carl Fischer titration is based on the oxidation reaction between iodine and sulfur dioxide. Water reacts with iodine and sulfur dioxide to form sulfur trioxide and hydrogen iodide. and endpoint is reached when all the water is consumed.
Generalization. The endpoint of the titration is detected with the help of an indicator as color of the solution changes upon the neutralization. In following the procedure, it ensures that your titration experiments are carried out using the correct techniques that enable you to get the precise and accurate results.